Hi guys, it's Thomas here from COTbase.com. Welcome to your weekly COT review. Today we're going to be looking at the 5th COT report of 2021. And as we always do, we shall start off by looking at the largest changes in commercials positions. But before I start the review, a reminder for anybody new to this data that we have a lot of very useful material here at COTbase.com. Not only in written format, but we also have some very cool videos as well that will help you better understand what this report is all about and how you can analyze it. Okay, starting off with our first market for the review, which will be the Palladium 31% change over there in commercials positions. You may see that change size on the chart over there. It's visually quite clear. It is amongst one of the largest changes in the past 52 weeks time horizon that we're looking at right now. And I would say it's worth the time to just see what happened when we had a bit larger than average change size in this direction in the market. You can see the previous one just over here, preceding that little bottom. Don't forget, we were talking about a short-term signal. We have, of course, opposite direction as well. This is a bearish COT change signal. This is roughly the time where you can actually have the data. So anybody who was examining the report got this information roughly over there, and just there was a little bit of spike upwards, a bit more, but eventually we saw a drop in prices. So over here we have another great example of bullish COT Extreme signal being successful. This is of course a short-term signal. We are very much interested in the stress level that has built up in this market, if so. And you may see that both commercials and large speculators, are the largest participants in the markets, are roughly at zero, net zero. So meaning all the shorts are basically roughly the same size as the longs as well. Small speculators are also headed towards their net zero. Now let's see what happened to the market when we were in such a place and time. And the last time we were there was actually March of last year. A very dynamic movement in the price over there that actually coincided with this bottom in the market. But we can find another great example from 2018 when we had that bullish extreme. Basically, commercials just touched the zero line, and since then moved back, and of course the market rallied from there. Of course, a little bit hard to see, but if you zoom in, you'll see that actually this was a decline that ended at that extreme signal. Also, small speculators were pretty extreme about this market. Okay, moving on to the gasoline market, our next market for the review. 24% change over there in commercials positions, 1 year's chart. There we go. A bit larger than average change size. It's clear, it's visible, again pointing upwards, suggesting further rally. I personally like COT change signals when they're pointing in the opposite direction in which the market is actually moving, so maybe not something I would act upon. The 5-year chart, here we go, shows us a little bit more bearish picture. We're not surprised to see that having the market rallied so much, but attention, you can see that we can easily get to even greater extreme levels. Maybe in the next couple of months we'll reach those levels. Anybody trading this market, it's still good to know that we are a little bit more closer to bearish extremes than bullish, that's for sure. A currency will be the next market, to be specific, the Brazilian real, where we have a 17% change in commercials positions. And that change size is over there. It is a bullish signal, of course, and it is coming, it's hard to tell how much it actually rallied this week, but it's expecting us, or at least suggests that we may see a bit of a rise coming early next week. That's what it says. You can see what happened to the market when we had larger changes in traders' positions in the past. That's how you do it. You go back. I think here we have a pretty significant change, a bearish COT change. You get the report on Friday. It's showing you a picture from Tuesday. This is roughly where you see that report. So it was suggested that we may actually see some decline coming after this rally, and that's exactly what happened. Don't forget, this is a market with maybe a little bit less history. If you open to the all-time chart, we can only go back to 2011. And by doing that, we can actually see the extreme situation, which is more or less in between the two extremes. So the most bearish extreme roughly over here in February of 2017, the most bullish extreme from November of 2019. We're in between those two extremes, so not much to tell from there. In relative terms, I should say it was a little bit of bearish picture that we had just 2-3 reports ago. If you compare that to this let's say 1 year time frame, not much to talk about really. If you're spending too much time trying to figure out what the report says, just move on. The report is usually at its best very, very clear on what's going on. Moving on to large speculators, COT Extreme, we've got the Euro British pound pair with 102 report extreme in large speculators. And there we go. Again, we're talking about a market with short COT report history. But let's go to the 5 years chart. Yeah, so if you open a 5 years chart on such a market, there's not much to see. It's always good to have the full COT history. And as you can see, we are more or less in between the two extremes. I would say when we have a pair, a currency pair, to always look at the parts separately. So the Euro market, there's COT report on that, and then there's COT report on the British pound. And then of course you can measure the strength against each other if you wish. Okay, live cattle will be the next market, where we have a 52 report extreme in large speculators. You can see that on the chart over there. Sorry, we're still in the all-time. I like to look at the 5 year chart because it's all-time is great, but this already gives you a perspective that you need extreme wise. So it is, if you look at the horizontal line for commercials or large speculators, you can see that we are not at a huge extreme. It shows a little bit more bearish picture, that's for sure. But if we go back in time, we may see from April 2019 an even greater extreme in the market. So which by the way was successful, a little bit tricky to act upon because the market has already declined. But nevertheless, it pushed the market down, that's for sure. And we had some relative bullish extremes on the way, and we're headed towards a more significant, larger bearish extreme. That's what we're expecting. And last but not least, let's have a look at the Canadian dollar with a 51 report extreme in large speculators positions. You can see that extreme over there. Again, a bit more bearish, I should say, but it can easily grow to even greater levels. That's for sure. Of course, we are measuring everything against the US dollar, so that's something you should keep in mind. So when you're analyzing currency futures, then you might want to look at the dollar index, whether or not it's showing you a different story. So that was all for this review, but don't forget there's a lot to do here at COT Base. If you would like to look at the newest COT report types, the disaggregated, the traders and financial futures, and the commodity index traders COT report type, then you can do it here. Also, we offer not only the futures only data type, the futures and options, but we have the options only, which is, I think, very, very unique. I haven't seen it anywhere else. Data sets, we give you a lot of data sets to analyze. Of course, if you log in, you can have a look at all the market categories, stock indexes, interest rates, and cryptocurrencies as well. And of course, you can dig deeper in your analysis by using our tools like the COT change analysis. You can, let's say combine 2-3 reports and compare that to a look back period of your choice. You can analyze the COT index, also the COT move index. We have a very useful tool, the long-term trend indicator, that will help you better understand which way the market is moving. And of course, we also have the volume and open interest analysis, which I think is a great supplemental tool to the COT analysis as well. So don't forget, there's a lot to do here. I hope you enjoyed my review, and I hope to see you next week. Have a great weekend. Take care. Goodbye.